Hi everyone, thanks everyone who's already joined. Just to let you know, we'll wait a couple more minutes before we start, just to make sure we've got everyone that wants to attend. Hello everyone and good evening. I hope you're all having a lovely Wednesday. My name is Malika and I'm currently an account partner here at Success at School, and I will be your host for tonight's webinar. You all joined this webinar to learn and celebrate all about women in STEM, and we are joined by PwC. For those of you who don't know, PwC is a professional services firm who work across the globe in financial services, consultancy, technology, and so many more areas that I'm sure PwC will do a much better job of introducing than I can. So our PwC speakers tonight are Jordan, a Senior Associate in Talent Engagement. We're also joined by Sophie, an Audit Senior Associate in Belfast, and Shruti, a Technology Degree Apprentice in Birmingham. Before I hand over to Jordan, I just wanted to let you all know that the meeting will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. So anyone who is unable to attend, or if you wanted to rewatch it, you can. And towards the end of the webinar, we will be having a question and answer session. So please feel free to pop any questions that you do have in the chat. However, for anyone who is unable to access the Teams chat for whatever reason, please just reply to one of the Eventbrite webinar reminder emails that you've got with any questions that you do have, as we will be monitoring that. We're expecting about 300 to 500 people on this webinar, so we will answer as many questions as we can. But thank you guys all for your time and taking the time out of your day. But Jordan, over to you.
Thank you so much. I am just going to get my screen up so everybody can see it. And if you just want to let me know when you can see that, okay?
Yep, all good.
Okay, perfect. Well, good evening, everybody. I suppose it is evening now. It's dark outside. My name's Jordan, and I am part of the Student Recruitment Talent Engagement team here at PwC. And I'm going to be taking you through the kind of main bulk of the content for today. But I'll let my wonderful ambassadors also introduce themselves. Sophie, do you want to go first?
Hi everyone, I'm Sophie, and from the accent you can probably tell I'm based in Belfast in Northern Ireland. I'm part of the audit department, so I did a degree in accounting with PwC.
Thanks, Sophie. And then Shruti.
Hi everyone, I'm Shruti and I'm a technology degree apprentice in my third year, and I currently study computer science at the University of Birmingham.
Thank you both so much. So yeah, today is going to be a session on women in accounting and technology, going into lots of detail about our different roles at PwC, and obviously celebrating women in those industries as well. So just a bit of an insight into what we're going to be covering today. It'll be a bit of an introduction. The first half, the first part of it will be accounting, and before talking about our Flying Start degree accounting programme, and then the second half will be focused on technology. That being said, if you are interested in one or the other, it doesn't mean that the other half won't be relevant for you, because we are a multidisciplinary firm. And if you're an accountant, you'll be dealing with technology, and if you're a technologist, you'll be dealing with accountants. So it's really good to have an understanding of both areas. We'll then have some time for questions towards the end. So an introduction to PwC. Obviously, you've all signed up for today's session, but you might have signed up not knowing who PwC are, and that's totally okay. You might already have some knowledge of who we are, and that's great. Or you already might be an expert, and fantastic. But hopefully, I'll still be able to give you a little bit more insight into who we are. So PwC is a professional services firm. What this means in really, really basic terms is that we help our clients to solve really important business related problems. And those clients can be businesses, charities, government organisations. So if you look around the room now, you might see some big brands, or if you think about what you ate for lunch, there'll be a brand who created that food. Or if you think about, I don't know, the last website that you went on, those types of really big brands can be our clients, right down to really small, family-run, independent businesses that also need some business-related support. So they'll come to PwC and they'll say, okay, I need help with this, or I want to do with this with my business. And then PwC has experts. So Shruti and Sophie, they are both experts. They might tell me differently, but they are definitely experts in their areas of business. And they will be deployed to our clients to help them solve those really important problems and deliver value for those clients. And when I talk about those really important problems, these are kind of really wide-ranging problems. So it can be things like they need their accounts auditing, or they need some advice on how to kind of pay the right taxes, or they might want to buy another business and they need support on how much to pay for another business, or they might have cybersecurity issues and they need cyber experts to check their firewalls, or they might need some help with how to use AI to better their processes and automate some of their processes. So the issues that we're solving are really wide-ranging in a whole variety of different industries. So no matter kind of where your interests lie, we will most likely have opportunities in that area. So a little bit about us, the more kind of stats and figures sort of thing. We are a really big business. So we have over 22,000 employees in the UK alone, and even more across the globe. So we are part of a global PwC brand, and that PwC brand operates in over 150 countries around the world. So lots of opportunities for international work, whether that be working with clients internationally or traveling internationally as part of a project, or even doing kind of secondments abroad. We spoke about those clients. We have over 25,000 of them, so lots of variety, as I said, and we work in 18 offices across the UK. So the most northerly being Aberdeen, most southerly being Southampton, most westerly being Belfast, and most easterly, which is a good question, might be, let's say, Newcastle, or Reading. It might be Reading. So kind of really kind of encompassing the whole of the UK. Yeah, so no matter where you're wanting to start your career, we'll most likely have an office nearby. And it's really important for us to highlight the support that we offer for gender diversity in the workplace. It's kind of forming the core of everything that we're doing at PwC, and it's becoming more and more topical every day. So we're really wanting female talent to apply for our roles, so that we can have a more diverse workforce, have more diversity of thought in our projects, because that is one of the key benefits of having a diverse workforce. But we also recognise that we need to create an inclusive environment for that diverse workforce. So just a couple of things that we're doing in that space. So we have a range of different internal networks at PwC. So if you were to join us, you could join one of these networks. And one of them is the Gender Balance Network. So this supports colleagues to share their experiences and knowledge on gender related issues. So that might be the experience of women in the workplace. It might be for those colleagues who identify as transgender. They might have conversations about the their experiences in the workplace and beyond. And it's not only for those people who identify as female or as transgender, it's for everybody to understand those conversations and partake in those conversations. We also have then created the Pathway to Partner initiative. So for female and or ethnic minority directors who are performing really, really well, we will assign them a progression coach so that they're able to reach partnership level and accelerated rate. We also really encourage open conversations in the workplace. So if we think about kind of the training that we do at PwC, we're really encouraging everybody to share their own experiences where comfortable, and also share kind of any issues that they're having in the workplace. We then have introduced paid fertility leave for colleagues who are going through fertility treatment, so that a lot of the time impacts our female colleagues who are attempting to start a family. And then obviously we support International Women's Day every year, and there's so much more going on. We've just launched our annual report, and there's lots in there about how we're supporting the gender diversity in the workplace, especially with women in technology as well, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But first, we're going to think about accounting. So some of you will be able to access the chat. We've realised there's a slight issue with accessing the chat on Teams, but if you are able to access the chat function, can you tell me what you associate with the accounting profession? So feel free to pop it in the chat, and then Sophie's going to read out some of your answers. Give you a couple of seconds.
So I've got a lot of people saying money. Very true.
Yeah, it's the kind of typical go-to, I think, because you think about kind of how to manage money, things like that. So yeah, people have already got a really good grasp of, I guess, the core of accounting, but hopefully we'll be able to explore that a little bit further. So how do accountants work with clients? So the accountants at PwC primarily sit within 3 business areas, or internally we call them lines of service. And these are audit, tax and deals. Now, we will be focusing more so on audit today, just because that is the predominant way school leavers can get into PwC through our Flying Start accounting programme in audit. But just to make you aware, there are routes in tax and deals, tax as a full-time apprentice and deals on our undergraduate and graduate programmes. So what is audit? So good question. Sophie will perhaps explain this slightly better than I will. But audit is essentially where an independent advisor will go into a company and look at the company's financial records and what the company is saying that they, for example, make in profits, what they've took in sales, look at their balance sheets and say, okay, what they're producing to the public, is that a fair and accurate representation of what is actually happening in the business? So are they, for example, not being fraudulent? And it is essentially to provide assurance to the company stakeholders. So that might be employees, it might be investors, it might be the owners, to provide assurance to them that what the company is saying that they make a year, for example, is actually what they're making a year, and that there's no risk of things like insolvency or going essentially bankrupt. So very, very briefly, that is what audit is. And as I said, there are accountants in tax and deals too, but we'll be focused on audit today. So the Flying Start Accounting Degree Programme, this is one of the key ways that you can join PwC, and it's a programme that we're really passionate about. It's one of our oldest programmes, and it's something that's growing day by day. So the Flying Start programme is essentially for you to kickstart your career in business and accounting. It is where you attend university for 4 years to study a degree in accounting, finance and business. And you can go to one of 5 UK universities. So that's University of Manchester, Newcastle University, the University of Nottingham, University of Reading, or Queen Mary University of London. So you would go for 4 years, and over that 4 years, you would do 3 paid and integrated placements. So you're paid whilst you're at PwC and you're working in our audit teams. And those placements are completely integrated into your degree. So you're not doing university work whilst you're working in audit, and you're not doing audit work whilst you're at university. They're entirely separate. And why it's called the Flying Start degree programme is because essentially you are pretty much nearly there when it comes to being a qualified chartered accountant in England and Wales by the time you've finished that degree. So to become a chartered accountant in England and Wales, you need to have completed the ACA, which is essentially a professional qualification to be a chartered accountant. Now that ACA, without any exemptions, is 15 exams and 450 days of work experience. If you do the Flying Start accounting programme, by the time you finish your degree, you have only 3 exams left. Sophie will tell me exactly how many days of work experience that you have left before you become chartered. But the exams that you do at university count for the ACA. So you're not doing any extra exams at university as part of this. Your university exams count for the ACA. So compare that to a graduate that's coming in, joined audit as a fresh graduate, perhaps hasn't really got a couple of exemptions for what they've done at university. They would have potentially 15 exams to do over a 3-year period, whereas you, having done the Flying Start programme, have got 3 exams and just 1 year left to become chartered. And we fully fund that ACA qualification as well. So it's kind of a no-brainer if you are wanting to go to university to study accountancy, business and finance. The entry requirements do differ depending on the university that you apply for, but they range as standard from 3As to AAB. However, I do have to stress that at each university there is the potential for a reduced offer. So for example, at the University of Newcastle, they have it's called a partners programme, where essentially if you fit a certain eligibility criteria, you can get a reduced offer of, I think it's BBC. So do check out each individual university and see if they do offer reduced offering for a particular programme. We do also offer funding for the Flying Start programme. So if you do match eligibility criteria that is on our website around kind of a lower income background, you will be eligible for a £10,000 bursary over the 4-year period to support you with living costs. So do make sure that you have a look at that if you are interested in applying. So applications need to be made by UCAS. So if you're currently in year 13 and you're thinking about making a UCAS application, make sure that you're having a look at the Flying Start programme before you submit. Each university that you choose is one of your 5 UCAS choices. So do just bear that in mind. Thinking about the structure of the Flying Start programme, as I said, there's 3 integrated and paid placements over the 4-year programme. And they're actually whilst you're at university in terms of the university year. So you have your summers completely free still to enjoy. So you're not kind of eating into your summers. And then once you graduate, you've kind of met the entry requirements for the ACA, so you've passed all your ACA exams, and then you will be able to join PwC as a graduate and finish your ACA, and then continue on the rest of the graduate programme. So guaranteed internships and also a graduate job at the end of it, and potentially a £10,000 financial bursary. So I'm going to hand over to Sophie, who's probably going to shed lots more light on the Flying Start degree programme than I will. But she has been through it and come out the other side and is, am I right in saying, almost chartered, Sophie?
Yeah, I've got 17 days left.
Yay!
It's not like I'm counting. So I'll just take you all through kind of my journey from when I was in your shoes in year 13 to where I've got to be now. So when I was at school, I was very interested in business. my dad owned a business and he was always getting me involved and asking me my opinion on decisions. And when I was at school, I really enjoyed maths class. So I'm the type of person who likes there to be a right answer and working through things methodically. So my A levels at school were maths, geography and economics. So then when it came to looking at UCAS and I started looking at uni courses and apprenticeship, I thought accountancy drew on both my interests of maths and business. And that's what led me to the Flying Start programme, which, as Jordan has explained, is a university accounting degree programme sponsored by PwC, with paid placements in second, third and fourth year, as well as your ACA exams throughout uni and your guaranteed job at the end based on your performance. So I got onto the Flying Start degree programme at Newcastle University following a successful interview where I was able to talk about the skills I had to suit accountancy, such as teamwork and organisation, things that you learn in school and being part of a team. And my first year was just like any other year or any other degree, and the same as the degrees that all of my friends were doing. But then it became a bit different in second, third and fourth year, as I spent January to March every year working in Belfast in the audit department at PwC. And when I was on placement here for those 3 months, I was treated just the same as all of the graduate associates within the audit department. Like, I wasn't sent out to photocopy or make tea or coffee. I was involved in everything. So that's probably the perfect opportunity to explain exactly what audit is. I know Jordan touched on it a little bit. The Google definition says that it's an official inspection of organisations' accounts by an independent body. So I suppose we are that independent body going into organisations' accounts, because businesses of a certain size or legal makeup are required to be externally audited to ensure that the results that they're claiming for the year are actually true and correct for stakeholders, which may be banks, shareholders or employees, people that need to know that the financial information they're producing is true. And in short, we're really just ensuring that there's no fraud being committed. So for example, if a company states that they have £1 million worth of buildings on their accounts, we have to check this is accurate. So we're going and checking that those buildings actually exist. We're checking the value of those buildings to make sure that they're not overstating or understating anything for any particular reason. So from January to March, that's when I did my placements, and that's referred to as busy season in the accountancy world, as most businesses December year ends on the 31st of December. So after that, we're getting everything prepared. So day to day, this involves being out on client site to test all those different areas of their accounts, their financial statements at a really, really granular level, going into lots of detail. Client site can be a variety of places. It can be like an office like I'm sitting in now, or it can be a tiny little mobile in the middle of the countryside on a big factory. So that started to come back a lot more after COVID, and it's really good being out and being able to speak to clients and like assess what's going on in their finance offices. It gives us a lot more of a true and accurate account of what's going on. So after these placements, I would go back to uni and I'd sit my summer exams, which were ACA accounting exams. So that then meant that when I left university at the end of my fourth year, I had done 12 exams, so I only had 3 left. And with any other accounting degree, you'd only get around 7 exemptions for your exams. And if you didn't do an accounting degree at all, that would mean that you have no exemptions, which is really why it's called a flying start. So I graduated from university in the summer of 2021, and I joined PwC full time in September, and I sat my final 3 exams last November. So that means that counting all of my work experience, the 450 days, I'll be fully chartered at the end of October now, which will make me a fully chartered accountant at the age of 23. And trust me, that is years and years before a lot of the people that I work with. I'd say the main benefit of this degree, besides the fact that you're achieving your charter so young, is that you're also really able to enjoy and immerse yourself in university life. And because your placements are paid, I also had the money to enjoy going back to university and being able to spend it probably not very wisely. All of my friends, they came out of university looking for grad jobs, but mine was guaranteed. And I've come into the firm as a senior associate 1, which means that's 2 levels above all of the graduates that came in who are the same age as me. I really love working at PwC. It's such a young workforce. That's one of the things that's really appealing. Like, all the colleagues at the same level of me are genuine friends, and we do stuff outside of work together. And the office is really, really social. There's always stuff going on for you to get involved with outside of work. And everyone's really friendly and down to earth and understands your level of knowledge, so it's not too daunting. That's probably it.
No, thank you very much, Sophie. And any questions for Sophie, please do send them in, and we'll take them at the end after we've covered the technology part of the session. So thanks so much, Sophie. We'll begin to tech now. Okay, so technology at PwC, probably we're not known as a technology employer, but we have a huge amount of technology roles and a really successful technology degree apprenticeship, which I'm going to be telling you all about. But firstly, we need to think about technology in the way that it's kind of impacting us in society, the way it's impacting our day-to-day lives. But a really good example is to think about clients or businesses that haven't utilised technology in the best way, so their businesses no longer exist. So can you think of a company that has disappeared from our high street or just a general business that no longer exists because they didn't keep up with technological change? Feel free to pop those in the chat if you have access, and I'll give you kind of 20 seconds to do that. And Sophie, let me know when the answers start coming in.
So a couple of answers we have: British Home Stores, Blockbuster, Debenhams, Toys R Us, Nokia, Woolworths.
I always like the Blockbuster example. It's probably one of the ones I would have gone to straight away if I hadn't kind of already thought about it, because I have fond memories of walking around a Blockbuster store and picking up what was videos and then DVDs and taking them home with a bag of popcorn and sitting down. But you had to leave the house, you had to wrap up warm, you had to go and take your card, and then you had to take it back to the shop like once you finished with it, otherwise you'd get a fee. That is completely gone because the convenience of streaming services, the likes of Netflix, the likes of Apple TV, and also with Sky, that's also producing kind of catch up and on demand, or Virgin, or there are so many more services that utilize technology that means that we didn't need to leave the house and go to Blockbuster anymore. So Blockbuster didn't keep up with the technological change. If Blockbuster had thought, okay, our stores aren't really working anymore, maybe we should go to a streaming service, they might still be around. Nokia is also a really good example, with the likes of kind of Apple taking over and utilising technology to provide really innovative kind of phones. So I've got one right in front of me, and I'm sure you all have probably ones right in front of you too. We don't have the little brick Nokias anymore. We have all of our lives within a really kind of tiny flat space that's really convenient to walk around with. So well done for all those examples. It just shows that you're thinking like a PwC technologist already. And I also wanted to highlight kind of the women in technology as well. We are really kind of pushing for more women in technology as the whole industry is, but we're also really ahead of the game too. So 40% of internal partner admissions were female in 2022. So what that means is that people who are moving up a grade from director to partner, which is kind of the top level of seniority at PwC, 40% of those who got promotions were female, which is fantastic, because previously it's kind of been way fewer than that. So we're really excited that it's kind of we're on track to have 30% of total partners being female by 2025. So only a few years to go, but we're definitely on track. We're one of the top 50 employers for women in 2022, and we have been for, I think it's 16 years now. So we've been on that kind of the top employers for women, and specifically in technology, between 2018 and 2021, 15 of our female colleagues in technology have featured in the We Are Tech Women 100 Awards. Try and say that after you're tired, trying to get that mouthful out. And then this year, 20 of our female colleagues have been shortlisted, which is really, really exciting, because it just recognises that we have some fantastic female talent in technology at PwC. Okay, just to give you a bit more of an insight into exactly what PwC are doing, we kind of when COVID broke out, I guess, when the pandemic started to spread, our board and management teams were inundated with ideas of how we could support the wider communities around us navigate the pandemic. And we developed something called Idea Space. And that allowed people to kind of submit their ideas, a lot of which focus on technology, but it's also an example of us using technology to field those ideas. And over a 3-week period, the Idea Space platform saw huge levels of engagement from our people. So we had 4,000 views of it and 100 really developed ideas from across the firm. These ideas were submitted, and then it was up to a board of our management teams to think about exactly which ideas they wanted to develop and take into the community. So just one example of how we're using technology internally, but also thinking about how we're using technology externally. So recently we supported a local council using robotic automation, and by this I don't mean physical robots walking around. It's thinking about how to utilize kind of an automation process on computers to make processes more efficient. So we deployed robots, but again, not physical robots, to help this local council. So I want you to think about now, if you were kind of posed with the task of supporting a local council to automate processes, to make them quicker, what types of things do you think that they would be able to do? So a bit of a hint, think about like repetitive tasks, anything that is quite manual, that doesn't require human thought or intervention, and think about the services that the council provides to your community currently. What do you think could be automated? And then I'll tell you some answers. So Sophie, I'll let you get some ideas from the chat when they start coming through. So
we've got sending emails and letters, taxes, council tax, proofreading documents, repetitive workflows.
Sounds like somebody's already got an insight into data analytics there. But yeah, if we think about like taxes, it's not always the most kind of, we don't always need kind of judgment when processing taxes. So it might be something that a robot could automate, as well as kind of sending out emails and letters. Absolutely. Imagine kind of having to process each and every letter that a council sends to its members. Anything else coming through?
Scheduling, repetitive letters, data input and output.
Oh, that's a good one.
Booking systems, -invoices, payments.
Amazing. Okay, let's actually tell you what we did. So obviously this was kind of a really crucial time at kind of the whole world was going through COVID, and we really wanted to support the communities around this local council. So one of the ways that we did this was to relieve time pressure on the employees that worked at the local council by deploying these robots to support manual activities, such as updating people's council tax payments, assessing free school meals and clothing grant applications. And all of these jobs previously had to be done manually and by staff taking up so much of their time when they could have been doing other work which developed them professionally and also required human thought. So that's just one of the ways that we've been using technology to support our clients, especially in a time of crisis. Okay, I'm just going to whiz through this just so we've got enough time to have some questions at the end. But all this information can be found on our website, especially around case studies about how we're using technology. So the Flying Start Technology Degree Apprenticeship, if you've kind of come away from that and thought, actually, I could really see myself working with technology and helping clients using technology at PwC, then the Flying Start Degree Apprenticeship might be just for you. So we have two models of our degree apprenticeship, the Study First pathway and the Work First pathway. I just want to highlight from the outset that both of them are fully funded, meaning that you don't have to pay any of your own tuition fees. PwC cover your all tuition fees at university and pay you a full-time salary. The difference between the two is Study First has a more academic, traditional university focus, whereas the Work First pathway has more on-the-job learning, as some people like to learn in different ways. So it really does depend on how you like to learn and also where you want to be located. As you'll see, they are in different locations. But just want to stress they kind of lead to exactly the same thing, and you can get a graduate offer at the end of them. So our Study First pathway can be undertaken at the University of Leeds, University of Birmingham, where you will study computer science, Queen Mary University of London, where you study data analytics, or Queen's University Belfast, where you'll be doing software engineering. Again, this is a 4-year programme with 3 to 4 integrated placements at PwC. But as I said, the whole thing is paid, so your tuition fees are paid and you're paid a salary for the whole 4 years. So it's not just the placements which are paid at, on this programme. Entry requirements do differ, again, depending on the university that you choose, but they range from 3As to AAB, and applications are open via UCAS if you're applying for this year. So make sure that you submit those applications nice and early. A little bit about the structure of the programmes. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but for Leeds, Birmingham and Belfast, you essentially do 2 summer internships and 1 full year at PwC in our wonderful tech teams. And then for London, you do half and half every year, so half PwC and half university. And then graduate, and depending on your performance whilst on placement and at university, you'll be offered a graduate role at PwC to continue your career with us. And then the Work First. So as I said, Study First is focused on kind of academic study and then applying this in the workplace. Work First is focused on the job learning. And it's something that we launched just last year. And it's based out of our Manchester office. So I'm not biased, but Manchester is the best office. This is in, we worked really closely with ADA, the National College for Digital Skills in Manchester, to develop this programme. Now it is only a 3-year programme, so it's still a degree apprenticeship, but you actually spend 80% of your time working at PwC in either cybersecurity, software engineering, or data analytics. And then 20% of your time is spent either at ADA College in Manchester or self-learning, either in the office or at home. So entry requirements for this are 112 UCAS points with the opportunity for reduced offers. And you actually apply for this directly via our website, so you don't need to apply via UCAS. Applications are opening mid-November, so do make sure that you're signing up to our talent network to be the first to hear when we do open for applications. But before I pass on to Shruti, I just want to stress about the technology degree apprenticeship. We're not a firm of software developers. You will be solving business-related problems with a technology lens. That means you don't need to be a really big tech expert right now. We'll teach you all of that. Your university will teach you, but a genuine interest in technology and how to apply that in business situations is exactly what you need for this programme. you won't be sat in a room coding all day. There may be coding involved in your degree or a little bit of it whilst you're on placement, but essentially you are solving business problems with a technology lens. So just want to make that really clear from the outset. Before I pass on to Shruti, who is exactly who you all want to hear from. So Shruti, I'll hand over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Shruti and I'm on my 3rd year placement at the University of Birmingham. So I studied computer science for year 1 and 2, and then I did a 10-week summer internship at the end of year 1 and at the end of year 2, and now I'm on my placement year. But at the end of year 1, I worked in NIS, which is part of IFS, so it's like internal firm services. And at the end of 2nd year, I then worked in risk, which involved external clients. And because I enjoyed talking to external clients within risk, I then moved to consulting, which is pretty much what I do on a daily basis. And within consulting itself, there's obviously smaller projects and different clients involved. But as said before, our aim is to essentially assist any company or client with automating tasks using technology. And the project I currently work on is called LSEG, which is the London Stock Exchange. So it's essentially a big financial company. And my focus within that is on the testing side. So ensuring that everything works as it should or shouldn't do in terms of different users that are using the software or platform. Another thing I found, like within consulting, because I am working with a financial company, it's not just pure technology, it's also a side of finance, which is nice to learn on the job as well. Because as mentioned before, I think a lot of people, when they think technology, they think coding, but it's not just pure coding, it's the application of technology in different ways. And currently I do it within finance, but in previous experiences at PwC, I've done it with different teams as well. And right now, the 2 main tools and technologies that I use, one is Salesforce and one is Refinitiv, which is an LSEG own application, which is pretty secure just because you're dealing with high levels of data. Another thing I wanted to say is why PwC. I think the most important thing is it's a very people-based business. So we put our people first and then anything else. So in terms of personal development, if there's skills that you wanted to do, we have plenty of softwares, or we're in partnership with companies that allow us to develop our skills that way. And also, even with me, although I work within consulting, because I've worked with different teams in the past, I still have that contact with them. So if I've run out of work to do for the day, I can also reach out within other sectors of the industry as well to help out with. So it's not just limited to one area. And I think the main thing is also, if you don't enjoy your work, which is a rare case, you can reach out and people would often put you in the right place. So you don't have to feel like you're doing things you don't want to. Another thing with a typical day for me is, because of COVID, a lot of my placements they started off as working from home, and that's just something that I've become used to. So usually like 2 to 3 days a week, I'll be working from home, and sometimes I go into the office, but I think both are just as good. I say I need to go into the office more, but with working from home, I found that it's also pretty flexible. So if I've got my own things to do, like if I want to go to the gym in the afternoon, I'll just put that in my calendar, and then everyone else knows not to book a meeting in at that time. So it's also that flexible opportunity, as well as also if I go into the office, there's also like free tea and coffee, biscuits, all of that, as well as networking, which I think is also very important, just because, like I said, everyone's used to working from home, but going into the office, you're meeting new people, having conversations. It allows you to get a better understanding of the company and also people in general. I think with the program itself, a lot of people do stress about, oh, am I going to be restricted? Like, am I going to lose my summer holidays and things like that? But as far as I know, because of the program that I'm on, I've been receiving a salary since the day I joined PwC. So I've had that benefit of going out when I want to, as well as working. And also you find that as the years progress, not so much in first year, but from second year onwards, a lot of people also have their own summer internship. So people spend the whole of first year or second year looking for that. But if you join on a program like this, that's already guaranteed and given to you, so you can enjoy your whole academic year and not have to worry about applications and things like that. So I think in terms of if you feel like you're going to miss out on summer, then that's definitely not the case, just because I've done 2 placements and I still had the best summer holidays. And if anything, because you're paid a salary as well throughout the whole time that you're here, you do have the money to kind of enjoy the university experience that you think you're missing out on, especially with third year as well. Like currently I'm on my year placement, but I'm also president of a society back at uni. So I still have my uni life, and it's not like it's just corporate. So I think it is the perfect program for people that want to go into tech, or not even just pure tech, because there's so many different applications of tech within it. So it's like I said before, currently I work on a finance one. In the past, I've worked with healthcare and things like that. So if I was to recommend the program, I would completely do it.
Oh, thanks, Ruthie. That was lovely. Yeah, I think that if you are wanting to do a kind of career in tech, or you're thinking about applying for computer science or software engineering or data analytics, it's kind of a no-brainer, because we're paying for your tuition. You've got those guaranteed placements and a almost guaranteed job at the end of it as well. So really nice to hear that you've really enjoyed it so much, Ruthie. So in the interest of time, I'm going to jump to questions, because I know that there's probably lots that have come in, and I want to make sure we get through as many as we possibly can. So I'm going to pass over to Malika to see if there are any questions that have come in, and if you've got any questions on like the recruitment process or anything like that, more than happy to answer them.
Thanks, guys. That was really great. Just to reiterate, if you guys do have any questions, pop them on the chat, or feel free to reply to one of the Eventbrite webinar reminder emails that you guys all received. We've had quite a few questions, a couple of repeat questions. So the first question that we do have is, how did you guys deal with all your placements when COVID was going on? So maybe Sophie, Shruti, maybe you guys can kind of talk through your experience. How did PwC support you during that time? Yep.
So when I first started my placements, COVID wasn't a thing. So we were in the office every single day, or you'd be out on client site every day. Obviously, when COVID hit, all of PwC went to work from home basically immediately. And it was really the firm's priority to make working from home work for PwC. And I think over the course of COVID, the people in PwC really proved that we can all work from home and we have the capacity to work from home. So as COVID was dying down, PwC brought in something called the deal, and that gives that flexible option for people to choose whether they want to work from home or whether they want to work in the office. And I know in my job, it's just very dependent on what team you're working on and what client you're working on. But if you set out expectations that you're going to be in the office on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and you want to work from home on a Monday, that's very much doable. I think, Shruti, how was your experience? Did you join during placement, during COVID?
When I had my first placement, it was all COVID, so pretty much everything was online. But luckily, I think restrictions started to ease towards the end of the first month. So we had things like weekly socials towards the end of the week with the PwC budget. And I think that made us like want to work for the whole week. And then we have Fridays off. Also, we had summer working hours. So past 1 p.m, no one would do anything. So I think that kind of helped, because we still saw each other, even if it was outside of work, but still for work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, completely. We've also got a couple of questions regarding entry requirements. So Sophie, were GCSEs an important factor when you came to apply for PwC, and in general? We've had a couple of questions of if maths is a requirement for any of the Flying Start degree programs.
So it's very dependent on which uni, because you go through UCAS, the whole process is dealt with through each of the 5 unis for the accounting programme. I know with Newcastle University, it didn't matter what A levels you did, it was just your grades that were required, but you did need a B at maths GCSE. I don't know whether that's still a thing, but I would stress as well, people thinking that you need maths A level or anything. I know I am about to be a chartered accountant, so it doesn't really make sense for me to say that like maths isn't that important, but I'm not sitting every day doing sums. You have to have a good grasp of numbers, but everything I do is in like a formula driven Excel sheet. So like I wouldn't call myself an expert in maths at all. So it's like not based around that, but obviously we're working with numbers all the time.
Yeah, from a recruitment perspective, we say like each university has its own entry requirement, so we just recommend that you have a look at those individually. For example, kind of some of the tech degree apprenticeship study first universities do require for you to have done kind of computer science A level, some of them don't, so it very much depends on which one you want to apply for. But Shruti, what did you do for your A levels?
I did maths, physics, and economics, and I also did an EPQ. But one thing I want to say is that within EPQ, the universities also lower their requirements. Well, with University of Birmingham, my entry requirements lowered from AAA to AAB just because I got an A in my EPQ. So if anyone's considering that, so if you want to do 3 A levels and an EPQ rather than 4, I'd also recommend that. But I think maths is compulsory with the University of Birmingham and Leeds, just because within the course itself, we do require like a good level of maths to understand the modules. But in terms of placement, that's like, it just varies depending on what team you're placed in.
Fab. And in terms of actually applying, we've had quite a few questions of how the application process for the Flying Start accounting program works alongside UCAS. So do you apply directly through UCAS, or is it on your website? We've just had a couple of questions about that.
Yeah, sorry, I skipped it in the interest of answering questions, but I knew it had come up. So for Flying Start accounting, all of the programs, and Flying Start technology study first, so that's the university version, you apply via UCAS. So kind of deadline is end of January for this year. So apply via UCAS, you don't need to do anything else. Once the university has accepted you conditionally onto their program, they will then forward you on to PwC, and you'll come through the PwC application process. If you're wanting to apply for Flying Start Tech Work First, so the Manchester program, you just apply directly to us. You don't need to apply via UCAS. So you can see on screen here, there's kind of a number of stages of the application process, which includes a behaviour-based psychometric assessment, a video interview, and then a virtual assessment centre as well. But all of that kind of the detail about our recruitment process can be found on our employability hub. So there's lots of resources on there about the recruitment process itself, but also giving you the opportunity to practice some of those stages of the recruitment process too. But hopefully that answers that question.
Fab. So in terms of this employability hub, we've also had quite a few questions about what could an individual do to sort of boost their application? Are there any courses that you can recommend outside of sort of A levels that any students can do to boost their application and just help and support them when they apply for PwC?
Sophie, Shruti, I don't know if you want to give an insight into what you did to make an application.
So in terms of the psychometric assessments, there's not an awful lot you can do for that other than not freak out, because they're quite straightforward. It's more like a game than like a big test or anything. Then when it comes to the interview process, they're all very like activity-based questions. It's kind of like, how would you work in a team, like, and you give an example on your teamwork skills. So that could be as simple as being on like a school council in school, or being part of a sports team. Like, obviously PwC are aware, if you're coming from school, that you don't have all of this work experience that obviously graduates would have. So to draw on experiences that you have from school is best. It's kind of, what would you do in this scenario? Or like, if someone said this to you, how would you react? Or those kind of questions.
Shruti, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, but I also think in terms of the video interview, it's more about just being yourself. Like, I feel like if you overthink it, it does more harm than good. And just because you are coming from school, like I said, a lot of things like extracurricular activities and things like that, if you just mention that and ways in which you can relate it to like skills such as teamwork and communication, I think that's just the best way to go about it, because obviously PwC do know that you've just come from school, so it doesn't have to be something like extraordinary.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to stress that what we're assessing in the recruitment process is your motivations. So why do you want to work at PwC? Why do you want to be a flying start accountant or flying start technologist? And then also your potential. So that doesn't always need to come from work experience. We probably, well, we don't at any point in the process ask you about prior experience. We don't expect you to have had that experience either. What we want to see is that you have an understanding of what is being asked of you in that role, and also you're able to demonstrate the kind of professional competencies that we're looking for. So please don't think, if you've not had any work experience, or you've not learnt Python or SQL or whatever programming language it is, that doesn't prevent you from getting a career at PwC. What we want is that kind of passion to learn and excitement and motivation.
And then again, we've had another question regarding the entry requirements. Do you accept T levels? So we've had an individual asking if they would be able to apply for the apprenticeship if they did a T level in digital support services instead of traditional A levels.
So again, it does depend on the university. So we know that T levels are kind of up and coming, and lots more education providers are using them. But it is up to our partner universities whether they accept T levels. I know some of them do, but some of them don't yet. And that doesn't mean they're never going to, but it just means that they haven't yet. So again, I would just recommend having a look at the courses on each individual university website, and just checking to see whether they accept T levels, as some of them do, some of them don't.
And Shruti, we've got a question kind of directed at you, and that is, do you still feel like you get the full uni experience even though you're not there and you're on placement for a couple of months in the year? I know you mentioned that you are part of a couple of societies, but does that still go on while you're working?
Yes, like I cannot stress this enough. I feel like I have a better experience despite being on PwC than a university student, just because, like I said, we get a salary throughout the whole time that we're there. So if it is things like I wanted to go out, like I can fund that lifestyle as well as having to work. And also the work is only for 10 weeks during summer. So throughout the whole from September to June, I'm still at uni doing anything that a normal university student would do. And with the summer placement, it's only 10 weeks. And how it works at the University of Birmingham is we still get a month off after exams and after the placement ends. So like for holidays and things like that, people kind of do it then. So if anything, I think it's way better than having just going to normal uni, because I've got a job there for me as well as funds to like live that uni life.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Obviously, before we go, I know we've run out of time, but the number one question we have had is regarding salary. You just mentioned that you do get to fund your lifestyle. So is there sort of a base salary before we kind of wrap up for the day?
Yeah, so unfortunately we can't disclose exactly what those salaries are, but they are kind of competitive across professional services and the Big Four. And what I would say for the technology degree apprenticeship is that our tech degree apprentices don't have to get like a maintenance loan out. So the salary that we're providing is enough to kind of pay their rent, pay their bills, pay for their food, and also enjoy a really kind of positive lifestyle whilst at university. And it's the same for our flying start accountants whilst on placement. So although we can't disclose exactly, rest assured it's sufficient.
Okay, well, thank you to our speakers from PwC, and thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day to join us this evening. As a reminder, this will be recorded and uploaded to the Success at School YouTube channel over the next couple of days. So you're more than welcome to revisit this at any point that you would like. But once again, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. And sorry if we couldn't get through all the questions, but we will forward all the questions to PwC and they can provide answers at a later date. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. Bye-bye. See you.
Everyone.
Bye.